We'll begin with Dr. Phil Hatlen. Most of you know that Dr. Hatlen had hoped very much to be with us at this meeting to be inducted, but unfortunately is recovering from surgery, and his plaque will be accepted by his son Jim, whom I'll introduce in just a little while. But let me tell you a little bit about Phil first. Many of us in this room can probably remember the first time we met Dr. Hatlen, and I'm no exception. It was at a reception at the 1985 CEC conference when I met Phil. I had recently been hired as a lecturer at the University of Texas in Austin, and I had a doctoral degree that was so new it still squeaked. I was standing around with some sort of beverage, watching my colleague Ann Korn circulate among familiar colleagues and trying to look comfortable even though I knew no one in the room except Ann. Suddenly I heard this quietly cheerful voice at my elbow saying, "Well, hello, I don't know you." I turned to see kind of a largish bearded man who appeared to be genuinely delighted to meet somebody he'd never met before. And of course it was Phil, and he seemed eager to find out everything about me. He made me feel that I was just the person he wanted to meet at that reception. As I came to know him better, I realized that his keen interest in everyone else is the heart of his wide network of international friends and colleagues, and it's part of the reason that he's accomplished so very much to improve opportunities for people who are visually impaired. Phil is a hardcore Californian, born in Patterson in 1934 to parents who were apricot farmers. And I thank Kay Farrell for that nugget of information, which she unearthed while writing Phil's bio for the Hall of Fame website. I also understand he doesn't care for apricots. Okay, Jim's corrected me. He calls them apricots. Okay, don't have a California accent. Okay, Phil has held a wide range of professional roles beginning in 1957. Cyril Miller, one of his nominators for the award, described Phil's ability to reinvent himself professionally. She said, "Varied job experiences have provided him a wide range of perspectives, from public school to specialized schools from birth through adulthood. Phil began as a teacher of blind students in public school, and numerous paid and volunteer positions included principal at California School for the Blind, executive director of the Blind Babies Foundation, founder of the Hatlen Center for the Blind, activist with the California Joint Action Committee, which he helped to reframe as the Alliance of and for Visually Impaired Texans, tenured VI personnel prep professor, president of AEVH, president of Division on Visual Impairments of CEC, president of Cosby, and superintendent of the Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. In professional organizations, Phil consistently has chosen or been chosen for leadership roles and has inspired others with his passion for making the VI world better. And for those of you who aren't seeing the photos here, there was a picture of Phil, which I assume was in his much younger days. He looked like a bearded hippie with a big grin on his face. Yeah. He has made vital theoretical contributions to a field that is not often inclined to theory. In her letter of nomination, Kay Farrell said, "It is, of course, the core curriculum article that has had the most sustained effect on our field. It's a brilliant piece of advocacy that has become a standard that we strive to reach in developing quality programs for students with visual impairments. It lives as a succinct yet powerful statement of what it is that is different about educating students with visual impairment." Dean and Naomi Tuttle commented on Phil's ability to communicate effectively as a key factor in his leadership skills. They said, "On a personal level, we have admired Phil's uncanny ability to say the right thing at the right time. Always a favorite conference speaker, his presentations have invariably been thoughtful and provocative. He not only talked the talk, and we always gained from his talks, but he walked the walk, putting his talk into action." And of course, all of us here know that he walked a lot of that walk while wearing Birkenstocks. It is fitting that the primary letter nominating Phil to the Hall of Fame came from Mike Monroe, who's never met Phil, but he has benefited directly from his leadership. Mike's a faculty member at Stephen F. Austin University in Nacogdoches, Texas. And after 10 years of practice, I finally get to say the word Nacogdoches in public, so my 10 years in Texas were not in vain. But Mike closed his letter with this statement: Dr. Hatlen has impacted me as well as many others who are lucky enough to work in the field through training, support, leadership, and passion. He was instrumental in the development of a partnership between the Texas School for the Blind, Texas Tech University, and Stephen F. Austin University to support and train teachers to work with individuals with visual impairments. I am a graduate of that initiative, earned a master's degree, and am now a faculty member at SFASU, providing training to future teachers of students with visual impairments. Though I've never met Dr. Hatlen, I'm lucky enough to be impacted by his initiatives, passions, and writings. There are many Mikes out there who have been able to enter and thrive in this profession because of Phil. We all very much wish that Phil could be with us tonight to celebrate the breadth and depth of his contributions to the field, and I'm sure he does himself. Unfortunately, he's recovering from surgery and is unable to travel. Perhaps he'll soon be well enough to view the video of this event and to understand how highly regarded and deeply loved he is. We're fortunate that his son Jim was able to make last-minute arrangements to be here to receive his father's plaque. Following Jim's comment, Dr. Dean Tuttle and Mrs. Naomi Tuttle will share some thoughts about their good friend and colleague, Phil Hatlen. It gives me great pleasure to announce that Dr. Hatlen is inducted into the Hall of Fame as a legend and leader of the blindness field, and I'd like to present his plaque to his son, Jim.
Kind of look like it. Am I up?
You're up.
All right. All right. Well, thank you. That was very warm comments. I don't know if I can speak like my father. I'll do my best, but he's obviously wows everybody out there. But I'll try to live up to the Hatlen name. I did bring the hair, though, so I got that going for me. Anyway, first of all, I'm so proud to be here and meeting all these people that were so involved with my father and he with you. And I mean, what a long, strange trip it's been to get here. But I mean, getting here, I got all these, I want to thank a few people how I did eventually get here. Kay and Bob, and Rona, Betty and Kathy in the office, Janie, Tug, Dean and Naomi. And I would also like to thank my two stepmothers, Betsy Wada and Tony Provost. I know some of you probably know them. But it's great to be here in Louisville. This was like my dad's second home, it seemed like. He was always coming out here and just, it seemed like he was out here all the time. He'd see, talking about his colleagues and seeing, this is where all his best friends were, it seemed like. And I have to tell you, I have like about a half dozen Louisville Slugger bats in my front yard, in my front room, and my kids have about 3 of them, all with their names on them. I think he'd pick up a bat every time he came out here. But anyway, it's also wonderful that Pete is being inducted at the same time. I mean, those guys were unbelievable, great friends. I mean, he was like an uncle to me. I mean, he would be around our house all the time, and I mean, if they were here together tonight, they'd be out till probably 2 in the morning, I would think, moving it up. But anyway, he was Pete. It's so nice that they're both coming in to the Hall of Fame together. And Pete he's a photographer. He was the photographer at my brother Ed's wedding. He took all the pictures there. So he's a great guy. And I also want to mention, my dad's mentor, Dr. Bert Lowenfeld. That was somebody that, I was a little guy. I was a kid at the time, but he would be around there. And I mean, he had a big, big influence on my father. And I mean, they shared the same vision, same passion for the field. And that's where I think my father got his big influence. He's from Dr. Lowenfeld. And, you know, you all know his accomplishments. I mean, Jane went over there, you know, San Francisco State. You know, he wrote the grant for the Blind Adolescent Life Skills Center, which is now the Hatlen Center in San Pablo. And he handpicked the staff. I did want to mention some of the staff that were there. Mike Cole, who we mentioned earlier, Paula LeDuc, Helen Dombush, Phil Yoakum, and Betsy Wada, and then also Patty Williams, who is now the executive director there. But a lot of them, that was part of my childhood, is knowing all those folks, and it's really a privilege to be around those type of people. And you know, it's taken, maybe I didn't appreciate them, but I certainly appreciate everything now. And you know, I was told I had 5 minutes, but I'm a Hatlen, so it's going to take a little longer than that. So, so I apologize for that. But you know, one of his big life dream was to be a superintendent of a school for the blind, and that Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired was his favorite. I mean, that was what he wanted to do, and I know he shed a lot of tears when he retired there, and but I think he went out knowing that he did a great job there, and you know, he's a proud Norwegian. He's pretty ticked off that he's not here. I think he was fighting like heck to be here, but that's you know, he really wanted to come out here, and you all know him as a colleague, you know, a professional, you know, an innovator, maybe a party buddy, but I can tell you as his son, you know, that he was even a better father. I mean, he would take, you know, every time he went on a trip, he'd bring back a pennant or a bat, like I said. And, you know, he never missed a sporting event. He went to probably every one of my football games, baseball games. He'd take me out we'd go to, for my birthday in June, we'd go to Giants games. Go Giants. Sorry, Reds. I had to put that one in. That was a personal one. But anyway, he was a great father. He is a great father, and he's even a better grandfather now, and now a great grandfather. And it's an honor to be here to meet all these people that I've, you know, some I've known, some I haven't, and it's a pleasure to be, you know, be amongst all of you. You folks are wonderful people, and I've enjoyed the hospitality, and leave it to, thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Jim. You've put a good light on our friend Phil Hatlen. And thanks for standing in for your dad. As you can tell, he is well loved and highly respected among us here. On a personal note, we're sorry, Phil, you can't be here. Our hearts go out to you. But I also want to say that for me personally, you, Phil, have been a mentor and a hero of mine for years. I remember back in 1961, now that's 51 years ago, I was assigned by George Lee Abel to go visit your resource room at Emerson Elementary School in Berkeley. And I did that, but actually I was so new and naive to the field, I had no idea of the significance of what I was observing. Now, Naomi and I have been asked to say just a few words on Phil's behalf. This is the first time in my life I've been able to put words in Phil Hatlen's mouth. So, but it is a privilege to speak on Phil's behalf. If Phil were here, and Jim's already said this, but thank you for this honor. I appreciate it. I am humbled by it. But you know, it pleases me to be recognized alongside my friends, Berthel Lowenfeld, Georgie Lee Abel, Joe Taylor, Father Carroll, more recently Rick Welch, and finally, and as Jim has already mentioned, my longtime friend and colleague, Pete Wurzburger. We have been in the trenches together. We have shaped this profession together. And together, we have observed many, many blind and visually impaired persons grow and take their place in our society.
Additionally, I think Phil might have shared these thoughts with you, at least I hope they would. Number one, know where we are as a profession, encourage and support AER, BVI, and be proud of your profession. Number two, know where we've been as a profession. Learn to appreciate our history and build on the contribution of our leaders and legends in the Hall of Fame. Number three, know where we're going. Shape the future by actively influencing services, technology, legislation, and public attitudes with the goal of improving quality of life for the blind and visually impaired individuals. That was for our profession. Now, I believe Phil might challenge each of us individually. First, be innovative with regard to your resources, your skills, and your purpose. Number two, be passionate about your students or clients and their families. Be passionate toward your colleagues and your profession. Remember, passionate was one of Phil's favorite words. Last, be committed. Stand firm on your convictions. Respect the dignity of each person. Dare to reach for excellence. And now, Phil, God bless you and keep the faith.